There's a moment almost every American has when they visit Australia. It usually happens on day 3. They walk into a pharmacy, buy something that would cost $40 back home, and it costs $6. They just stand there, confused, almost offended. That's what this video is about, not the Sydney Opera House, not the Great Barrier Reef, not kangaroos hopping across a golf course. This is about the quiet stuff, the small everyday luxuries that Australians barely notice, because they've never known anything different, but that leave Americans staring at their receipts in disbelief. By the end of this video, you'll understand why so many Americans who visit Australia come home and say the same unsettling thing. I don't think I can go back to normal. Let's get into all 11, and stick around, because number 7 is the one that changes how people plan their entire retirement. Luxury 1. Walking out of a doctor's office without fear. In Australia, Medicare covers a huge share of basic medical visits. Many people pay little to nothing out of pocket for a standard GP visit. Compare that to the US, where a single ER visit for something minor can run into the thousands. Americans don't fear getting sick the same way in Australia, and that changes how people live day to day. They go to the doctor early. They don't wait until it's an emergency. Luxury 2. Prescription medication that doesn't bankrupt you. Australia's pharmaceutical benefits scheme caps the price of most subsidized medications at a set amount, meaning even expensive drugs cost a small fraction of what Americans pay. Insulin, EpiPens, common prescriptions. The price gap is staggering, and it's one of the first things that shocks American travelers when they compare notes with locals. Luxury 3. Superannuation retirement savings. You can't skip. Every employer in Australia is legally required to contribute a percentage of your salary into a retirement fund called super automatically, without you having to think about it. By the time most Australians retire, they have a real nest egg built quietly in the background their entire working life. No opting in, no forgetting to contribute. It just happens. Real quick before we get into number 4. If you're the kind of person who loves learning the small differences between countries, hit that subscribe button right now. I put out videos like this every single week comparing life around the world. And trust me, some of the facts coming up in the next 15 minutes are even more surprising than what we just covered. Alright, let's keep going. Luxury 4. 4 weeks of paid vacation guaranteed by law. Full-time Australian workers get a minimum of 4 weeks of paid annual leave every year. No negotiating required. In the US, high-paid vacation isn't even federally guaranteed at all. Some Americans get 0. Australians build their entire year around the assumption that real time off is coming. Luxury 5. Paid parental leave that doesn't wreck your finances. Australia offers government-funded paid parental leave for new parents, on top of whatever an employer might add. In the US, the Family and Medical Leave Act only guarantees unpaid leave, meaning plenty of American parents go back to work within weeks, simply because they can't afford not to. Luxury 6. A culture that actually logs off. This one's harder to put a number on, but Australians describe it constantly. A workplace culture where answering emails at 9 p.m. isn't expected, where lunch breaks are actually taken away from your desk, and where no worries, that can wait until Monday is a completely normal sentence to say to your boss. Luxury 7. Retiring without panic. This is the one that quietly changes how people plan their entire future. Because of compulsory superannuation contributions building up over an entire career, many Australians reach retirement age with a real, substantial safety net without ever having actively managed a 401k or worried about the stock market alone carrying their future. It's not flashy, it's just there, waiting for them. Okay, we're almost halfway through. And I have to say the next section might be my favorite because it's about the small physical stuff, the everyday luxuries you can actually see and touch. If you haven't already, now's the perfect time to hit subscribe. Because next week I'm doing the reverse video 11 things Australians secretly envy about America. You will not want to miss that comparison. Let's continue. Luxury 8. Beaches that are actually clean, free, and everywhere. Australia has over 10,000 beaches, and the vast majority are free, public, and remarkably clean. No beach access fees. No crowded commercialized boardwalks blocking the view. For many Australians, a quick trip to the beach after work is a completely normal Tuesday. For a lot of Americans, that's a vacation they save up for all year. Luxury 9. Genuinely walkable, livable cities. Cities like Melbourne and Sydney are frequently ranked among the most livable in the world, with reliable public transit, walkable neighborhoods, and infrastructure that doesn't assume everyone owns a car. Compare that to the sprawling car-dependent design of most American cities, where simply not driving can feel almost impossible. Luxury 10. Food that's held to a higher standard. Australia has stricter regulations on food additives, preservatives, and certain ingredients than the US does. Many American travelers report noticing that the same branded snacks and drinks simply taste different in Australia, often because the recipe legally has to be different. Some describe it as food that just feels less processed, even when it's the exact same product name. Luxury 11. A slower, quieter relationship with time itself. This is the one that's hardest to explain until you've experienced it. Australians take longer lunches, shops close earlier. Sundays still feel like Sundays in a lot of places. It's not about being lazy. It's a cultural agreement that rest isn't something you have to earn. And for a lot of visiting Americans, that's the single hardest thing to adjust to, and the single hardest thing to leave behind. Alright, that's all 11. But don't go anywhere yet, because I want to talk about why these small differences add up to something much bigger, and I've got one more story that ties this whole video together. But first, seriously, if this video's been worth your time, subscribing costs you nothing, and it tells me to keep making more of these. Hit it now before you forget. Okay, let's wrap this up properly. Here's the thing that's easy to miss when you just list out facts like this. None of these 11 things are flashy. None of them are a mansion, a yacht, or a private jet. That's exactly why they're called quiet luxuries. They're not things you show off. They're things you feel in the absence of stress. In not checking your bank account before booking a doctor's appointment. In actually taking your lunch break outside instead of at your desk. In not doing math in your head every single time your kid needs a prescription filled. That's what keeps coming up when Americans who've spent real time in Australia try to describe the difference. It's rarely one big dramatic thing. It's the accumulation of 100 small moments where the anxiety that's baked into daily American life just isn't there. And that's honestly the most Australian luxury of all, not needing to constantly brace yourself for the next unexpected cost. Now, that doesn't mean Australia doesn't have its own challenges. Cost of housing in cities like Sydney is genuinely brutal, and no country gets everything right. But when it comes to these specific, quiet, everyday luxuries, healthcare, time off, walkable cities, and a culture that actually rests, it's easy to see why so many American visitors leave with a strange kind of homesickness for a place they only visited. So that's all 11 quiet Australian luxuries that keep showing up in story after story from American travelers. Healthcare without fear. Guaranteed time off. Beaches that are actually free. A culture that lets people rest without guilt. Now I want to hear from you if you've been to Australia. Or if you're Australian and watching this thinking, wait, we don't even notice half of this. Drop a comment and tell me what I missed. I read every single comment on these videos, and some of the best facts I've ever covered came directly from viewers just like you. If this video gave you something to think about, do me a favor right now, hit that subscribe button. Because I release a new country comparison video every single week, and next week's video might completely flip everything you just learned. Hit the bell so you get notified the second it drops. Give this video a thumbs up if you made it all the way to the end. That genuinely helps this video reach more people, and I will see you in the next one.